Hi guys, today we're going to look at an aspect of fitness that's quite often overlooked: stretching. Stretching is extremely important, especially as you get into your middle years, 40 plus, when you start to lose flexibility. Having a really great stretching program is a great way of maintaining flexibility as much as possible as you get into those middle years. Many symptoms that people have, whether it be headaches, neck pain, back pain, can all be traced back to lack of flexibility and a lack of stretching. So for instance, it isn't that uncommon if somebody's got very tight hamstrings that they can end up with neck pain or headaches, not realising that the source of the pain isn't the actual location where they're getting the pain, but somewhere else in the body where there's a knock-on effect through the body. So stretching, very, very important. I have to admit, it's something that I'm guilty of myself. I don't stretch enough. And in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've started a stretching program, and already I'm starting to notice benefits for doing that. For instance, with my 10K runs, I've actually managed to knock a minute off of my time just through stretching. I'm putting it down to stretching anyway, because what it's done is it's loosened up all the muscles. That means that I've got a wider stride, because I can actually move into a wider stride more easily, and that's actually knocking time off of my runs. So in terms of performance, it's very, very beneficial. Careers of professional footballers, etc., as well, in recent years have been prolonged by thorough stretching routines. So, join me on this stretch routine that I'm going to do. I'm going to do an all over body stretch, which is the one that I'm doing at the moment. We're going to be doing it for 20 seconds for each stretch during this particular stretching routine. When I'm doing it for a minute each stretch. And I would say optimally you're looking between 1 and 3 minutes per stretch. But for the sake of this video, and not to make it too boring and too long, I've kept it to 20 seconds per stretch. So adjust it as you need. I would recommend getting a timer app downloaded onto your phone so that you can make sure you're getting the right amount of stretching per body part and that it's equal through the body. And also during this video, I'll try and give you as much value with the narration that I'm going to do over the top of the stretching as well. So okay guys, without any further ado, let's get into this stretching routine. I hope you get value out of it. Okay guys, it's really useful for doing these stretches to have a yoga band with you, especially for doing the hamstring stretches, which I'm about to do. Gives you the ability to get more stretch on the hamstring. Most people are tight in the hamstrings. I am myself very, very tight in the hamstrings. But I found that even 2 or 3 weeks of stretching has helped greatly. You're looking to get your leg perpendicular to the floor. You can still see that I've got a slight bend in my knee there. At optimum stretching capacity, really, you should be able to get your leg into that position without the band. It's still pretty good at my age of 58 to be able to get it perpendicular there with assistance, but ideally you'd want to be able to get that perpendicular without any band usage whatsoever. So that's what you're aiming for in the long run. By the way guys, the stretching routine itself, this isn't something that you would do prior to exercise. This is something that you would do post-exercise or as an isolated session in itself. Prior to exercise you would do mobilization, which is much more focused on warming up the body. Okay, from the hamstring stretch we're going into the adductor, lying adductor stretch. The adductors are the muscles on the inside of the leg, which again get very, very tight, can cause misalignment of the pelvis and various problems that go with that. This is actually a very relaxing position to be in as well, so post-exercise, great for cooling down as well. The gluteus maximus stretch, or the backside. The backside are the biggest, or the buttocks are the biggest muscle in the body. And again, being the biggest muscle in the body, if they get tight, again it can cause misalignment of the pelvis, which can cause problems through the spine and end up giving you migraines and neck ache and all sorts of things. Never force these stretches, remember, only go as far as you're comfortable. You don't want to cause an injury by forcing a stretch. Start off as gently as you can and then build up gradually so that you can extend the stretch as you progress over time. Okay, the trunk and hip stretch that we can see here, using the bent knee as a lever to get some more stretch on the upper body. A very good stretch because rotational stretches are often ignored during a stretching sequence, and obviously you're trying to get as holistic a stretch as possible so that you're getting maximum benefit from it. It really is not wise to ignore your stretching because, especially if you're doing weight training and running, it's very impacting on the muscles, and over time your muscles can get congealed and very tight and knotted. And if you don't stretch them out on a regular basis, it can pull your posture completely out of alignment. Lying on my front now, I'm doing a front quadricep stretch, so the front of the legs and also the upper trunk. Again, if you haven't got into this position before, this can be somewhat challenging, so take it nice and gently. And if you can't do the lying quadricep stretch, then only do the standing one, which I'm going to show later on in the sequence. Trying to get a nice smooth transition between the various stretches, so going from the quadricep stretch into the trunk stretch again. And the thing to focus on when you're doing your stretches is your breathing. Nice, calm, controlled breathing. There should be no tension, no holding the breath. And stretching out also the lower trunk extension region. Again, you're stretching, you want it to become a habit, a little bit like brushing your teeth. So many people just skip it because they find it boring. All I can say is the best way to approach it is just to keep doing it, and once you see the benefits of it, then you'll start to stick with it, because it is really quite dramatic if you haven't done any stretching before to introduce it. Kneeling knee extension stretch. You can feel this on the rear leg at the front of it, going into the hip, front of the hip and the groin. Remember, you're using a timer to get all of the timings absolutely spot on, because again, if you stretch one muscle group more extensively than another, you're going to run the risk of introducing imbalances into the body, and that's absolutely counter to what you're trying to achieve. You want a holistic flexibility right through your body. This is a very good stretch to do at the end of a workout to help your breathing and to calm down as well. Trunk hip rotation stretch is extremely relaxing and helps you to bring your heart rate down after exercise, as well as being very, very good for your flexibility. Notice how the shoulders are staying flat on the floor. Trying to not let the upper body rotate at all. You want to keep those shoulders flat on the floor, so that all the stretch is coming from the lower part of the trunk and into the hips. Especially as you get over 40, these are the sort of exercises that can help to alleviate pain that you may have had, but also can prevent you getting injuries and pain in the future, so well worth doing it. Okay, let's move on to the standing stretches and go through those as well. So we've already done a lying quadricep stretch, now we're going to be doing a standing version. The stretch is across the leg which is being lifted up at the foot. If you find that you lose your balance here, you can always use a wall for assistance, or if you're slightly more advanced, you can move your arm to the side to get balance. There we go, look, arm out a little bit to try and get a little bit of balance there. Stretching for running is so essential in order to maximize your performance. So if you like doing distance running, half marathons, marathons, etc., you will find an improvement in your times if you do these stretching sequences consistently. focusing on the upper body now, we're doing the back stretch, arching the back to create separation between the scapula, the shoulder blades. Arms parallel to the floor, and moving nice and smoothly into the chest stretch. So stretching opposite muscle groups is always a good option to have as well. Looking at it from the side, trying to maintain a nice posture, and as you puff your chest forward, you lift your arms back to create that stretch. Shoulders. The shoulder joints are multifaceted, and especially as you get older, a lot of injuries in the shoulder, around the shoulder region. What you want to do with this stretch is make sure that you don't force it, just gently bringing your arm across your body with your arm parallel to the floor. Don't force it, because again you can introduce something injury wise that you really don't want. Pain in the shoulders and around the shoulder region is very common. It's very common either in very active athletes or with people as they get into the middle years. Exercises I'll be showing you in the future as well to protect the shoulder area. Calves, calf muscle at the back. When you do this stretch, you feel the stretch across the rear leg, up the back of the calf from the Achilles into the lower knee. Again, especially for runners, an area where you get a lot of problems as you get older in the calves. Take a massive hammering when you're running with your foot's planting down on the floor throughout a long run, and that shock goes right through the calf area, through the Achilles, up through the tendons and through the calf muscle. So again, very important to keep it as supple as possible to minimise your chances of getting an injury. Triceps, the back of the arms. Not only the back of the arms, that goes into the upper trunk as well. Remember, all of the muscles are interconnected. And again, this is why it's so important that you stretch right through the body. Usually when you see people stretching, you know, it's half-hearted. Make sure you do it absolutely thoroughly. As I said, these stretches that I'm doing here, I'm doing for 20 seconds for convenience for the video, but 1 to 3 minutes would be optimal. So, you know, put aside half an hour to 45 minutes for your stretching. Start to prioritise it. You'll notice massive results. Okay guys, remember, onwards and upwards. See you on the next one.